Hey friends, welcome back to Tuesday. Welcome back to Tuesday. Welcome back to Hot News on Tuesday. Glad to have your smiling faces here. I'm ready to jump into another round of tech news. But before we do, today's Hot News is brought to you by NordVPN. Yes, my friends, if you're looking for a reliable, great VPN, check out nordvpn.org/UFDtech. NordVPN has over 4,800 servers in 62 countries. They have an extension for your Chrome browser. It can fit on basically any device that you want. 24/7 customer support through live chats or emails, up to 6 simultaneous connections, unlimited bandwidth. They accept Bitcoin for payment if you want anonymity even in your payment method, as well as a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're looking for a VPN, we got a special little offer for you. If you check the link in the video description or in the pinned comment, nordvpn.org/UFDtech, you will save 66% off of the VPN, bringing it down to $4 per month for a 2-year plan, making it $96 roughly for about 2 years of VPN protection service, which is butt cheap, my friends, butt cheap. Check out nordvpn.org/UFDtech. And with that being said, let's jump into the hot news. Now it's time to talk about something everybody hates, which is Skype, because Microsoft, 1, always made it super unsecure, and then 2, they redesigned it so that only idiots wanted to actually use it because, wow, that was a bit of tacky, but I'm only trying to attack Microsoft here because the mobile redesign of Skype was horrific. It's bad, it's garbage, it doesn't make any sense, and they're redesigning it again because, hey, look, the features that they added, such as captures and highlights, were things nobody wanted because who used Skype as a social media platform? Nobody. Who used it as a social media platform when they introduced social media features? Nobody. Microsoft. Thank you. My goodness. Did you like the Razer phone? Well, they're coming out with the second one, according to their company in the earnings report. I don't know why, I couldn't speak English there. Razer phone Gen 2 coming out. Hopefully they make the camera not garbage, because that would be amazing, and it would be something that I would be keen to pick up because the pricing and the feature set and the 120 hertz screen and the battery life, all of that was great. If the camera didn't suck, it would be fantastic. Hopefully they can use some of that Google firmware software stuff that uses AI to actually give you portrait mode instead of them trying to rig their own solution together. Razer, partner with Google. Genius. I'd buy that phone. Yeah, like a Google Play edition of the Razer phone, where it has like certain specific features that like the Pixel has, but integrated into other companies' smartphones. Razer, do this. $1 million idea. I'm sure you'll sell enough. Speaking of gaming phones, you remember how the Asus ROG phone was like supposed to be top of the line because they were bidding Snapdragon 845s and they're gonna be faster than every phone on the market? Well, apparently they haven't launched yet, and apparently the Snapdragon 855 is already being tested and is gonna make that thing obsolete as soon as it launches because Asus is not really known for getting things done quickly when they announce them. Anyways, that's besides the point. Shade where it doesn't need to happen is my name. We got some Geekbench scores of the Snapdragon 855 coming in at around 3,700 points, whereas the Snapdragon 845 did around 2,400 points. The overclocked version probably would do 2,700, so 1,000 points better, which is like 33% better in CPU performance. So like, I'm gonna reiterate, we don't need gaming phones that are like gaming phones, because like the next generation of flagship phones are gonna be running the Snapdragon 855 with their latest GPU. Why do you need this gaming thing that's for gaming when a flagship can run it just as well? At least with Razer, they provided a 120 hertz screen, and then they didn't just stop there, but they actually provided the best battery life that you could get in a flagship at a really competitive price point. Asus ROG isn't gonna do that. We hated on it when it was announced at Computex. I'm hating on it still. I don't like the ROG smartphone. Do you like it? Pull up there. You don't get to vote like that. You don't get to vote until you give us a jingle. Speaking of phone features, 5G support is apparently coming to a whole bunch of phones. The Xiaomi Mi Mix 3, that's a lot of me. Xiaomi Mi, and if you want to pronounce mix as Meeks, then you have 3 in a row. It confirms 5G support with a leaked picture showing that it indeed has 5G plus cellular reception. Words are hard for me today, but 5G compatibility coming to more than just the Moto Z3 or that previously Lenovo phone where they said that they were gonna be the first to announce. Anyways, 5G coming fast and furious. I know a lot of people in the comments seem to think that we're gonna be cancer ridden because of this, but here we go. Future Internet of Things, everything connected to 5G. Gigabits upon gigabits coming straight to your phone like hot fire, hot news. Do you remember the world's first RGB smartphone brought to you by Nubia? Well, it appears that they're bringing smartwatches with OLED OLED bendable panels that's gonna look like a little bit more than this piece of junk Samsung smartwatch that I have. It's gonna wrap around, it's gonna look really cool. It's going on sale in China this year, and they unveiled it at IFA with their prototype called the Nubia Alpha. I kinda like it. Prototype version looks a bit too bulky. If they could slim it down a bit, I'd be all over this.
I think the first thing I heard was screams in my wrist.
I'd like to scream into my wrist all the time. Why? Why does Nvidia charge too much for the RTX 2080? Speaking of screaming into my wrist, the International Olympic Committee has decided that some esport games are too violent for people to watch, as opposed to, you know, things like boxing where people punch each other into the face, IRL, or fencing, which is literally a sport of people stabbing each other and was meant for actually murdering one another. Seeing digital characters get blown up or even just drop dead and reappear later is too violent for a whole lot of people, and the for-profit committee that is known as the Olympics doesn't want that being brought to their precious viewers, which, you know what, doesn't make any sense. Rikus, what do you think of esports not being in the Olympics? Violent ones like CSGO.
I don't care, but they're still stupid.
Okay, that's fair. He doesn't care, but they're still stupid is the official word from UFD Tech. What do you guys think? Do you think some esports games like maybe even Dota 2 or Overwatch are too violent for NBC viewers because that's where the Olympics gets debuted? Or do you think it could be like one of those stupid events that gets cut out of like actual Olympic footage or coverage because like nobody cares about them, but you could still have it as like an Olympic event? Or like, how do you get that to work as like a national team involved in like, I don't know. Let me know. Comments. Speaking of weird rules, apparently there's an EU law on the books that says that streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime have to bring at least 30% local content to the markets that they're delivering it to. Whether or not that means that they're actually going to produce more local content is probably suspect in my book. My guess is that they would cut down international content to make that 70% quota rather than trying to actively produce 30% content. Like if that existed in South Africa, the Netflix library would get rapidly diminished because there's no chance that there's enough movies to make up that 30% quota. Rikus, our actor, like would they have to remove international content in order to make it so that there's only 70%?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's just not enough, right? Well, one of the speculations here in this Hexus article is that it seems like even though the 30% law is applied to EU as a broad whole, they're wondering how much of that is just like BBC publication and like things that are filmed in the UK by Brits, because that's where most of that 30% is gonna come from. Anyways, I'm not sure I agree with this law. I don't think it matters. I don't live in the EU, but my EU folks, you like it, you don't like it, sound off. Speaking of other stupid laws that I don't understand, but this one actually affects me, although indirectly, because I am an American, although I live in South Africa, so I don't necessarily get affected by these laws, but it appears that a US Court of Appeals has determined that the FCC can consider areas with only one ISP as competitive as long as there's another ISP that's like less than half a mile away than where you can only get one ISP, because that's how things work. Oh, I'm sorry that you can't actually get another ISP, but don't worry, we're not going to introduce price caps, because that's what matters here. They're not going to be able to introduce price caps on single service ISPs because, oh, look, somebody who's not actually competing with you is right over there. That's like me having a hot dog stand with a giant wall in between us competing next to a burger stand. Oh, sorry, you're competitive even though you can't sell to the same customers because you're on either side of the wall. Doesn't make any sense. What the frick, FCC? I'm getting enraged about this. Obviously, they could dig a line and therefore it would then be competitive, but a lot of the times ISPs are already stuck in their ways and there's no chance of like it actually getting brought to you. So sorry for those who have to deal with only one ISP like Comcast. They can continue to jack up the rates to stay competitive even when they have a firm monopoly on your area. Sucks. Two more bits about car news as opposed to that C8 Corvette thing. Anyways, Mercedes is expected to launch an all-electric vehicle later today to challenge Tesla. Apparently they have an event set up for Stockholm, Sweden today. We'll obviously hear more about it after Hot News launches, but it's being recorded, like they're unveiling it after we're done filming. So expect an all-electric car from Mercedes that's also gonna cost a whole heck of a lot of money. And then we have some news on an Apple car, which is autonomous because they're trying to get that going for their car that's coming up. It apparently got into a little accident a few few days ago on August 24th. But don't worry, it wasn't the autonomous car's fault. It was waiting to merge onto highway traffic, and then a Nissan. Wow, South Africa's really changed me. Crashed into the back of it. Oh, it was a Nissan Leaf. It was an electric car. Great job. Great job, electric car drivers. Going 15 miles an hour, rear-ended the Lexus that is the Apple autonomous car, and rip. There you go. Time for some video game news. It appears that BioWare is looking into deep learning supersampling and ray tracing for their upcoming title Anthem, because it's based on the same engine as Battlefield 5, which will have these features implemented into it. So you have Frostbite engine, and Anthem could potentially actually see ray tracing and deep learning supersampling, which is probably the better of the two options. Like, ray tracing is just going to affect performance. It's not going to look that good. It's only going to be for a small section of your audience. Deep learning supersampling, you get better performance with less intensive because it's scaling things up and it's using AI for that with the tensor cores. I think that's a better way to go. I think ray tracing might be a future gimmick. Are you guys more excited for deep learning supersampling or ray tracing? Another poll. 2 in both hot newses this week. Don't say I never did anything for you. And several hot newses ago, we reported on an Apple employee who jacked some car details and tried to take off to a rival car company in China and give them all of that stuff. Well, it appears that TSMC has now been beholden to that same sort of intellectual property theft, because one of their ex-employees tried to sneak some 10 nanometer and 16 nanometer silicon designs over to a rival foundry manufacturer, the HLMC. As we're racing down to lower nanometer processes, it appears that it's more difficult for foundries to keep up. So intellectual espionage is the way to go. Or this could just be a front for Intel trying to get some 10 nanometer plans. I'm not accusing Intel of anything. That was completely a joke. I do not want to be sued for defaming Intel whatsoever. So joke, caveat, actual joke. There we go. And then also, as far as Intel not really being able to keep up, there's a report out of the EE Times that Intel is ceding leadership in EUV, which stands for Extreme Ultraviolet Lithography. Samsung has already announced 7 nanometer EUV chips that they'll be producing. Intel is supposed to introduce EUV into their 7 nanometer lineup, but with how hard they're failing at 10 nanometers and failing to bring that to anybody at all, 7 nanometer EUV is probably not going to be coming to them for quite some time, and it appears that they're losing out even there. Sucks, Intel, sorry. And now it's time for today's edition of So there's a report out from WCCF Tech indicating that 20 series mobile might be coming sooner than you think, but in less capacities than you think, with 2080 Max Q kind of being the only SKU that we might be getting by the end of the year, with companies introducing new laptops with that, as well as likely Intel's 9th generation CPUs. There's been a lot of news about Nvidia's mobile lineup, with Hardware Unbox dropping a video like a few hours ago, and then also TechSpot, which those are connected. They released an article on this as well. It looks like the 2070 will not come to mobile for quite some time. It doesn't even look like it's coming to desktop until at least November, December, because of course the low-end version of the 20 series that's actually priced competitively with the 10 series wouldn't go out, because they're still trying to sell off the 10 series. So why would they try to eat into that market? They wouldn't. So 2070 likely not coming anytime soon. The quote from WCCF Tech says this random company is putting a 2080 Max Q into the current thin 15 and 17 inch notebooks with Nvidia's help, and that it shouldn't be any heavier than what they currently are. So there you go, 2080 Max Q, which is basically going to be a weak version of the 2080 coming to laptops sometime soon, maybe, hopefully. And then if you're wondering whether or not Intel's 9th gen CPUs are going to be any better thanks to their soldered integrated heat spreader, it appears that they are. Using what looks to be stock standard CPU air cooler, the 9700K has been shown to be hitting 5.3 gigahertz on air cooling, which is quite good, quite good. Of course, this is only the 8-core, 8-thread model, not the hyper-threaded version, but 5.3 gigahertz on air is quite fast. That's all the hot news I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think about the 9700K, the stupid IOC ban on esports, or anything else like the content quotas for the EU, all that, down in the comments down below. Let's have a quick chat down there. Don't forget to hit the like button If you enjoyed this video, get subscribed to stay up to date on all of our tech-related content. And if you want to save 66% on an awesome VPN, nordvpn.org/UFD-Tech. Link for that's in the description. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm Brett with the UFD Tech Channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see your smiling faces in the next hot news. Love you too.